Good morning. We will go ahead and get started. My name is Summer Woodard, and I'm the city manager for the City of Reidsville. And I just wanted to tell each and every one of you, welcome to our event, and thank you so much for coming out and joining our event today. Today is Learn How to Place Your Bet on Reidsville, and this is a three-part series, and today is our first event, and we're so excited to have you here. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize some of our elected officials we have with us today. We have City Council Member Ms. Barbara DeJournette. We have Council Member Ms. Sherry Walker, both with the City of Reidsville. We also have Mr. Lee Vogler, who is the City Council Member with the City of Danville. We're very excited to have him with us. And we certainly appreciate our County Commissioners, Mr. Don Powell. Thank you for joining us. And also County Commissioner Mr. Kevin Berger, thank you so much for joining us. And I tried to keep tabs on everyone. Did I miss any elected officials? Thank you so much for joining us and showing your support today. This series is a joint partnership with the City of Reidsville, Reidsville Chamber of Commerce, Rockingham County Community College, and the Rockingham County. And we're so excited for this partnership. I would like to give a special thank you to everyone who's been working to put this series together. Judy Yarborough, Chris Phillips, Haywood Cloud, Mac Williams, Diane Sawyer, Eden Combs, Randy Hunt, Jennifer Leister, and Lee Cochran. Thank you so much for your dedication to putting this event together. The goal of Learn How to Place Your Bet on Reidsville is to connect business entrepreneurs with property owners and financial investors. Reidsville is growing, and we're poised for even more growth due to our geographical location. The future I-785 project and the opening, if you hadn't noticed on the news, of the new Caesars Casino in Danville make Reidsville a very lucrative economic development site for many businesses. Today's meeting will feature a group of local business owners who have existing businesses in our beautiful city. They will be sharing their stories. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our moderator for today's event. Please welcome Reidsville Chamber of Commerce President, Ms. Diane Sawyer.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Summer, for the introduction, and thank you for spearheading this amazing project to bring all of these folks together. As Summer said, my name is Diane Sawyer, and I'm the president of the Reidsville Chamber. And in my 12 years at the Chamber, I don't think I've ever been more excited than what we have on the horizon. Summer mentioned that we have multiple economic development opportunities, and we are just thankful for all of you coming together this morning to be with us. So we are going to get started, and I'm going to start by introducing our panelists. First, Barbara DeJournette, who is representing both Pelham Transportation and the City of Reidsville. If you guys would just kind of acknowledge the crowd so they know who you are. Lee Vogler, City of Danville, and Showcase Magazine. Leonard Pryor, Franchise Introductions. Mac Williams, Sanford Holzhauser, and City of Reidsville. Mickey Tingen, Domino's Pizza. Tom Holderby, TSH Development Company, LLC. Victoria Ellis, Crave Nutrition. And Summer Woodard, our city manager. So the first question that we have will be for all of you, and as I spoke with all of you about this, you each have certain and specific questions. So I will call you by name to answer the questions. We're going to start with please tell us about yourself, your name, what capacity you're involved in business in Reidsville, and what you would like for folks to get out of this entire series that we are putting on for the rest of the summer. So we're going to start with you, Summer, on this end, and we'll just go in order. So, Summer, if you'd like to answer that question for us, please.
Sure. Thank you so much. I am Summer Woodard. I'm the city manager with the City of Reidsville. I've been serving in the capacity of city manager for almost 2 years. It's been a wonderful experience. I've got to meet many of you in this room today, and it certainly means a lot for each of you to come out and show your support. What we're hoping for you to take away from this first series event is seeing the connection between trying to get business entrepreneurs in the same room, property owners, and financial investors, and hoping to do a matchmaker series to show each of you the possibilities that the city of Reidsville has due to our geographical location and all that is to come and is becoming now. So thank you this morning.
And Ms. Barbara DeJournette. And again, if they are representing more than one entity, they're going to speak from both perspectives. So Barbara Pelham and also as City Councilwoman with the City of Reidsville.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Barbara DeJournette. I'll start with, I'll tell you a little bit about our business. My husband and I started our business in 2004 when we returned here from retiring and he had cancer. And we found out that there was limited transportation to and from medical appointments. So we decided that we would service a need, and that need was to make sure that people had reliable transportation, safe transportation. And so we started a small business down in Pelham and ending up later in 2008, moving to Reidsville. Now, we also provide transportation for wineries, casinos, churches, parks, weddings, any occasion, and we'll call ourselves transportation for all occasions. We have a staff of 23 employees, and we have over 30 vehicles that can service your needs. Previously, I served as chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and that was a fun event. And in 2021, I had the pleasure of being appointed by the mayor and the city council as liaison of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce, working closely with Diane to make sure that we support our businesses in and around Reidsville. As a city council member, we work as a team to review and create policies to ensure that current and new laws serve the needs of businesses in the area. What I would like everyone to get out of the series that you're attending today is that a growing, thriving business can be developed in this area. To know that the staff of the City of Reidsville will guide you through the process of opening a small or large business in the area. They are open to new and creative business ideas that will build Reidsville into a fun and booming city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. All right, Tom Holderby, we'll go with you next, sir.
My name's Tom Holderby. I developed TSH Development Company. I build apartment communities. I started here in Reidsville in 1987. I feel like every chance I get, I come back and try to build some more in Reidsville. And with the help of Danville Casino, I think this could be a good occasion for Reidsville to broaden their businesses. And I'm looking forward to seeing this happen. Bye.
All right, Mr. Lee Vogler, Councilman Sir, please.
My name.
Yeah, please pull it. You guys can do that when it's your turn, for sure.
Right. My name is Lee Vogler, and since 2012, I've been a member of the Danville City Council. When I was first elected, I was 24 years old at the time. So then sometimes I still get carded for R-rated movies, but I am old enough to vote and serve office. But I'm now serving in my third term. I've served 2 of those years as the vice mayor. I've got 2 beautiful young kids, an 8-year-old son named Kingston and a 5-year-old daughter named Ava. It's dance recital week for her, so if I look like I haven't slept all week, that's why, between that and coaching a couple baseball teams. But so my other capacity is I'm the managing partner and director of marketing and sales for Andrew Brooks Media Group, which does Showcase Magazine, Events Magazine, Rockingham Magazine, which I brought some in for. We do a biannual publication in Danville, Pennsylvania County called Our Town. So I'm constantly working with small businesses and organizations, not only in the Danville area, but Martinsville, South Boston, Chatham, Gretna, Reidsville, Eden, all throughout Rockingham County, and so Madison, Maydan, all throughout the county. And so I think this is a wonderful time, not only for Danville, but throughout our entire region. When I say our region, I'm including Rockingham County because, I know a ton of people who either live down here and work in Danville or vice versa. My wife's been at Penn for over a decade. She makes the drive from 29 every morning. And so I'm very familiar with this community. And I think it's a time of a plentiful opportunity that I know we're going to get into more later on. And I think this series can help kind of expand on what those opportunities might be.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Leonard Pryor.
Good morning. My name's Leonard Pryor. I'm a lifelong resident here in the county. I've actually lived in Reidsville, Madison, Eden, and finally moved back to my farm in Ruffin a few years ago. You know, we'd all love to have a Toyota manufacturing plant here, but, you know, we all know that entrepreneurship and the small business owner is the backbone of our nation. And there are a lot of wonderful entrepreneurs here in the room that I've known for many years. So, you know, the key to entrepreneurship is finding the right business. I've started 7 different businesses, maybe 8 or 9. I promise you they didn't all turn out well. My latest was a vineyard on our farm, and it's since been destroyed by a 25-year freeze event. You know, my friend Max over at Grove Winery, you know, you don't see these kind of things coming. So, having sold my last business to Wells Fargo in Greensboro, and I won't say retired, but now I get to do what I want to do. And what I do now is I represent about 400 to 500 franchises around the country. I work in 47 states, and 80% of the people that buy a franchise are somebody that's in corporate America. They feel like the rungs on their ladder have come to an end. They're not happy. They're just looking for something new. But they don't really know what they want to do, and they don't really know how to start a business. So I use my experience and take them through like a 4-step process. You know, what do you like to do? What do you hate about your job? Do you like sales? If you hate sales, that's going to eliminate 50% of the brands out there. You know, I was in the convenience store business back in my mid to late 20s. Was kind of doing very well for a young man, but I was miserable. I hated it. So what I try to do is coach people into finding 7 to 8 brands to look at. It might be something, heck, you get up every morning with a little kick in your step and enjoy going to work. I don't sell franchises, so that's a added bonus. I kind of, again, present these brands to people that might be something good, a good fit for them. I had somebody in Danville recently inquire about a restaurant. They immediately came back. You've got to have, Leonard, you have to have at least 60,000 people in this municipality for it to work. You know, we'd all like to see a Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A probably looks at those same demographic numbers and places those things. So I enjoy working with people. I enjoy seeing people go out and take the risk. Starting your own business is a daunting task. So the thing with franchising is it's a proven model. They have an item 19, most of the brands in their franchise disclosure documents, to show you what they're doing. I've spent thousands of dollars advertising in the wrong place. If you're a business owner, you've probably experienced the same frustration. But in franchising, they've kind of taken and worked all the kinks out. So they want you to be able to maximize your ability to go out and get that brand up and running and network in your community. So thank you for having me. I just really want to see this county continue to prosper and grow. And I thought FedEx was going to be a saving grace with the Dale facility, but we all see how quickly things can change. So I'm an optimist. There are a lot of great people in this county, so keep looking up, and thanks for having this group here today.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Tingen.
Good morning. Hey, my name is Mickey Tingen. I'm a local Domino's franchise owner. Reidsville is one of the 8 stores that I own and operate. I'm in 4 different counties, Randolph County, Guilford County, Rockingham County, and in Kernersville, which is Forsyth County. I'm just excited to be here, Diane. I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you. We're a global brand, maybe one of the most recognizable brands. You see our logo, it's worldwide, but we're local owners, franchisees. So I'm here just to re-engage with the community, let you know that we're locally owned and operated, and excited to see the industry, hotels and apartments and different things that are going to happen in this area. I'm originally from Burlington, so Reidsville's always been like a sister city. Used to visit here when I was a kid, so just excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the things that we discussed coming into this was how important it was for folks to understand that there are a lot of local individuals and people who live right here in our community that own and operate franchises, and for people to understand that franchise owners are also small business owners in a lot of cases. So, Nikki, thank you for being here. We appreciate that. All right, Mr. Mac Williams.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Again, my name is Mac Williams. I am a consultant with an economic development firm called Sanford Holzhauser. We engage with communities and economic development groups to work with communities to make them more, to help them do positioning themselves to be more competitive for industrial recruitment primarily. But in doing so, they become attractive places for small business and entrepreneurs as well. So I'm in, Reidsville is a client of mine, happily so. I started back in March, but it's not my first time here. I got my economic development career started in Rockingham County. I was the very first county economic development director that the county ever had back in the mid-1980s. They kept the position going after I left, which is a good thing, and they really reached the apex of the possibility there by having Lee Cochran now be in that job. I know Lee's here, and I have a lot of respect for Lee and what she is doing, and she does a great job for that position. But I lived in Eden for 2 years. I lived in Reidsville for 2 years while I was here. And like I said, in the mid-1980s, mid to late 1980s. So I know Rockingham County, and I've been here before, and I'm in a wonderful position to be back here working with the city. I'm filling in for the job that Jeff Garska had for 7 years. He has left to go on to other greener pastures, I guess. So I'm filling in for Jeff while I'm also doing the executive search for Jeff's replacement. So that's going to be a great opportunity. Somebody's going to be filling the job. They're going to have a really good opportunity here, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. I think if I was going to ask or say what I hope you get out of this series, not just the event today, but the series, is the excitement that the people of Reidsville have in their town. One time when I had an industrial client riding around, I was in another town. We were riding around talking about the community, and he said, Mac, can you tell me the history of the town's passage of bond issues, and can you tell me if the United Way has met its goals, say, the last 5 years? And I said, well, those are great questions, and I don't have the exact answer for you, but I'll get them, and I'll get that information to you. I said, I've never been asked those questions before. I said, I'm curious why you asked that. You're a site selection guy. Why would you care about that issue? And he said, passing bond issues and United Way's meeting their goal are indicators to me of the community's belief and support in itself. He said that I'm representing a company here that's going to invest $30 million somewhere. He said, why would I want to suggest that they invest in a place where the people don't invest in themselves? I said, and so he said, that's a measure of people of a place investing in itself. And in just the short time I've been back in Reidsville, and I apologize for this long answer, but I'm excited. He said it was just a great, that's why I'm excited to be back and why I'm interested in seeing the energy here, because I think Reidsville has that energy and that belief in itself. This is an expression of that belief in my view, that Reidsville is going to be a place that people can come and invest in it, because the people already here feel that same way about the town. So I'm excited about that for you. Thank you for enduring my long answer.
It was perfect. That was exactly what I was expecting. Thank you, Matt. Okay, and last but not least at all, Victoria Ellis of Crave Nutrition.
Yes. Hey guys. So Victoria Ellis, I own Crave Nutrition here in Reidsville. And you guys, I'm not originally from Reidsville, so I'm a little different. I'm an outsider coming in. I moved here 3 years ago, 3.5 actually. So November of 2019 to open up Crave Nutrition because of the impact that I thought it could make here in the community. But some backstory. I was a full-time partner with my best friend in Raleigh at Carolina Nutrition. We loved what we did together. If you've ever worked with your best friend, you have good days and you have okay days. But learned very quickly that I was excited to go out on my own. I was looking in the Hillsborough, Caldwell area actually because I didn't want to move or relocate. But there got referred to Reidsville. And you guys, I'm going to be honest, I'd never heard of Reidsville before or Rockingham County. Was excited to keep my options open and just see what we thought. So full circle actually, because Yvette is here. The first person I met in Reidsville and in Rockingham County is, but I came here to look at her building. A very small location. If you haven't seen it yet, it's like 234 square feet. But saw the potential, you guys. Reidsville really caught my attention because of the fact that it is packed with small and local business owners. And I thought if this community can support them for this many years, then they'll be willing to support me as well. So that really excited me. And I was cornering the market. There wasn't anything like it here. So I knew there was potential for growth because either the community didn't want healthy options or they did, they just didn't have access to it. So I took a leap of faith, moved here in November 2019, opened up Crave in December of 2019, right before the pandemic. And you guys, it was really fun, really exciting. The first thing I did was, of course, join the chamber. If I know anything about being a business owner and opportunist, you need to get to where the people are. So learning that networking was going to be one of my saving graces and learning everyone and anyone that I could, especially knowing no one when I moved here. So kind of hit the ground running, was in every business within 3 miles of Crave, letting them know who I was, what we were going to be providing, and what we could be offering them. So that was really exciting. But 3 years, we've expanded. We have 5 nutrition in Madison. We have 2 locations in Reidsville now, Warrior Nutrition as well, Divine Nutrition in Eden, Soul and Key, OG and Kernersville. So a lot of opportunities that we've already done, but also potential growth for the future. We are currently in build-out for a location in Walnut Cove as well, and now seeking opportunity in Danville. So really excited, but really here to let you guys know that as long as you have a passion for people and a passion for your purpose, and you know that you're going to do the work, I think that Reidsville is a place because like we said, community supports it. People are here and they're excited and they want to grow, and then we are positioned, especially with the growth with the casino coming, to just really have the opportunity to make the best of our economy here.
Thank you, Victoria. So we are now going to move into our other questions, and we're going to start with what are the benefits of starting a business here in Reidsville? And first up is going to be Barbara DeJournette.
Thank you. The benefit of starting a business here in Reidsville is that you have the chamber and you have the city. And for our business, Pelham Transportation, when we moved here in 2008, they were very instrumental in guiding us with giving us the right guidelines, helping us find a place. And they also showed us good locations. And we were able to acquire a building downtown, which was the old firehouse in Reidsville. So we were working with them. We were able to get grants and remodel the entire building. So we worked there and we lived there. And they've been very supportive over the years. And even we were able to share a parking lot with the city to secure our vehicles. And one thing I found out about Reidsville is that they are very open to new ideas. And another thing is they are working on regulations and adjusting those regulations to fit the needs of our businesses. For example, the regulation on alcohol, we are now reviewing all those regulations to make sure that business can expand and do food as well as alcohol in their establishment. And when we have events in the park, that everyone feels safe walking around, talking to other people, and able to have a drink. The police department and the fire department work closely with you to make sure that you stay within the guidelines. And I think that's what's impressive to most of us who've moved from large cities to small cities. The other thing that I find that being in the Reidsville area, we are able to reach out to Madison, Mayodan, Stoneville, Greensboro, and also to the population of people who speak other languages. For example, the Hispanic community, the Asian community, because we speak those languages. So this has helped our business tremendously. Thank you.
Barbara, I'd like to ask you to elaborate too a little bit on your renovation at the firehouse, because you built a beautiful home there as well, and that was a beautiful building, but that needed some work. And how was that process when you were going through, and how did the ordinances and things, since that's the living space as well as the business?
Well, one of the things that the city did for us, they sat down and talked to us about how the footage. We have 4,000 square feet, for example, of living space. They helped us work with the designer to be able to make it into bedrooms and living rooms that stay within the guidelines. And also downstairs where we have our garage and our business, we were able to acquire this building next door and make that where it all ties in together. And the fire regulations, the city walked us through fire regulations. They worked with us to show us how to fit within that guideline. So it's been a very productive situation, and we love it.
Thank you. All right, and next we have Victoria Ellis from Craig. So again, what are the benefits of starting a business here in Reidsville?
Yes, there are a ton. So, like I said, I moved here from Raleigh where my best friend and I were at Carolina Nutrition. That business was already established. So really it was just coming in and signing over the lease and just continuing to grow it. Whereas moving to Reidsville and opening a new business, there were a lot of new things I had no idea what to do. I'm so appreciative because I remember calling the city, oh my gosh, Judy's calling me several times, asking so many questions because I didn't know the answers. I didn't know what to expect, what the rules were, how this was even supposed to go. So very grateful that while learning the steps that it takes to open a business, that the city was there to help me and guide me and give me all the answers that I needed, so that when I was open, I wasn't breaking any rules or any guidelines necessarily. So grateful that they were willing to work with me, not knowing who I was or what I was actually doing, because like I said, it was a new concept here, but just really standing in my core and letting me know everything that I needed to know so that I wasn't in the wrong. And that was opening my business on the next.
So that leads us to Summer, and I'm going to let Ms. Summer Woodard kind of wrap up each question. So, Summer?
Sure. So thank you so much. So a couple of things I just wanted to address is at the city, our number one priority is customer service. That is something we are striving. We can always do better on, but that is our number one goal. We want anyone that walks through the doors of City Hall to have a positive experience. We do not want to be that roadblock that prevented you from opening a business or got you discouraged. So one of the things we have done to accommodate our growing business industry is to be more accessible. So one thing we had noticed was in our community development where each of you would go and get your permits, that was kind of isolated on the second floor of City Hall. So what we decided to do to improve that is to bring that office down to the bottom level of City Hall and put in a customer service window. So that way, when you're coming in to look and inquire about permitting or what you need to do to get your business started or what you need to do if you're just doing a repair, you have direct access and you see someone greeting you as you walk in the door. So that is one thing we have looked at, is trying to improve our customer service experience from the moment you walk in the door. Another option that the city has been really willing to look at is our UDO. And that's something many of you will hear in our coming months. Our mayor and city council have been gracious enough to allow us to look at that. One thing we noticed with our UDO is it has not been updated or revisited since 1986. So some of the hurdles that maybe some businesses that we saw had encountered was operating off of code from the 80s. So the city council and mayor have invested in granting city staff the opportunity to get a UDO out there and get a consultant to come in here and look at those ordinances and see, are they out of date? Because what was good in the 80s is a little bit different than what we're experiencing with businesses now. So I think that's a huge positive factor to look at with the city. As Councilmember Ms. Desjardins stated, one thing many of us know with economic development in reference to alcohol establishments, so many times we see a lot of other municipalities looking at social districts. And our city wanted to at least look at that and see what the possibility is. But our mayor and council identified an issue we may have, in that if the mayor and city council prior to last Tuesday night were to go in and approve a social district, and let's say that, Court, I'm going to pick on you, let's say the next morning you came into City Hall and you said, I would like to open up a wine bar downtown. We would then have to say to you, I'm sorry, you can't do that. So that was something our mayor and council realized was we really need to look at our ordinances so you don't have that negative customer service experience. So what mayor and city council did last Tuesday night at city council, they amended the alcohol ordinances to allow for additional businesses to be located in our central business. Currently, you had to be a restaurant or a brewery, which has state exemption on some ordinances, in order to sell alcohol downtown. That has been amended to put us in a position for growth for a cigar lounge, a wine bar, to capitalize on some of the tourism, day trips, and overnight stays the city will see from the growth of Danville and the casino. So our goal is to create a positive experience and capitalize on getting people, not only our residents, but visitors to come and explore our downtown and the great opportunities our city has. The other great part of doing business with the City of Reidsville is the leverage of partnerships. The city has a remarkable partnership with Rockingham County. They go above and beyond to work with us on various industrial projects, economic development incentives, and then water and sewer infrastructure needs. So that partnership with two entities working together has been huge. And then also the city's partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, where we can partner to do events like you have today. So thank you.
Summer, that's a great segue into our next question. And actually, two things to recognize from that that's going to take us to that. I heard two words in those answers, guide and process. And I know I have a lot of process folks in this room, but that is the key for business owners, is to follow the process and to create your own processes. But we find at the Chamber that that's one of the biggest downfalls, is not following the process. And a lot of times folks don't know the process. So we are here today also, in addition to all the things that we've said, to educate folks on what the process is and how to get you guided through those things. Which leads us to our next question, which is, what are the specific obstacles or challenges that you faced in Reidsville? And Mickey Tension, we're going to start with you, sir.
Yeah, what happened to us around 2015, Domino's as a franchisor, they came to us and said, hey, you've got to relocate your store in Reidsville. There was really nothing wrong with the location or the side of town it was on or anything like that. They just identified around 500 stores that need to be rebranded. So in that process, I began to look around Reidsville, and there was absolutely nowhere to relocate. There was no suitable space for lease or for sale at that time. I said, guys, I'm looking, I can't find anything. But I kept riding by the closed down Sonic location. And I said, that would work, but there was, it wasn't listed for lease, it wasn't listed for sale. So I reached out to my real estate broker and I said, hey, can you kind of find out what's going on with this space? And I know at some point, I think they contacted the town and maybe Diane at the chamber, and we found this guy in Lubbock, Texas, and he's like, yeah, it's for lease. So he's like, what do you mean? So luckily we secured the space, and it's been great there ever since with the drive-through, and it's been a great space. But the other challenge was there was no internet. We were on Freeway Drive in Reidsville, and I went to, we're a data-driven business now. It's just everything is online. So we had this choice of like a broadband kind of connection, which wouldn't run our point of sale, our internet, or we had to bring in an expensive fiber connection. So it was about $10,000. It was great, but it was way more than we needed. I think that has been remedied since then, but that was a big challenge that I didn't really anticipate at that time.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you for talking to us about
You
those.
bet.
And next, we're going to go to Tom Holderman.
Okay. So far, since I've started business in Reidsville, I've not had a problem with the city of Reidsville getting permits, getting site plan approval. In fact, I'm doing a site in Lexington, Spartanburg, and Thomasville, and I've just gotten Reidsville's okay from the deaner, from the state, and from the city approval, and before they have. And I've sent items to those cities, and Reidsville was the first to approve anything. So I'm excited about that, and the way City of Reidsville works, it will work out for everybody that goes to wants to do development. And such.
And Summer, we're going to wrap up again with you.
Certainly, and one of the things, that we've got to look at when we're preparing for the growth that we're experiencing is housing. I know I see a lot of business owners and real estate agents in this room, and is looking at what can we do for housing for the individuals that are living here now, that are looking to move into a home, those who are looking to possibly relocate here, or those who are looking to live in this area so they can drive to the Danville market or other areas, because our location, we're within 20 to 30 minutes of so many larger cities, and people want to call Reidsville home. So I think it's paramount to continue to look at the need for housing in our area, in addition to all the different business opportunities there are. So I think that's a key one as well. And one of the things that the city's been working on that we hope to roll out as a teaser for your next Lunch and Learn, the second part of the series, is we actually have been developing a step-by-step guide of, if you walk into City Hall or you're perusing on the city website, you can see a step-by-step guide of how to start a business in Reidsville, whether it's if you're looking for residential, if you're looking for commercial. It tells you the process and who you need to speak with to get that going. So again, trying to capitalize on that customer service experience and providing you a process so you know exactly who your contacts are, and we're here to help you.
And I'll just add to that, Summer, that I think in all of our discussions and planning for this event, that's what this is about, is trying to help encourage folks to network together and to have an open mind, but to follow the process to get educated. And so we as a partner will have that as a resource. So when people walk in the chamber, or when people come to City Hall, or when people go on the website. And so we've had some things in the past, but we're really hoping to perfect those old processes and update them to current things. So that actually leads us, perfect segue again, to our next question is, what is a business or a business need that you see here in Reidsville? And we're going to start, Tom, I'm going to kick back to you.
That's a broad question. I think we are needing some big box business, a lot of employment that can service and spend money on restaurants, food, I'm not really sure, it's all about economics, and I just feel like we need more big box businesses for employment to spend their money in our restaurants and stores.
And I know one of the things that you and I talked about with your upcoming projects and also your current things was you have a serious desire to see things for families.
Yes, like a family center would be awesome for Reidsville. You would keep families, to stay in Reidsville to live and bring up their children. Like a fun center, like the trampoline, jumping, the laser tag. Just a place for kids, have birthday parties for kids to enjoy, living.
Leonard, we'll ask you the same question, sir. What's a business need or a business that you see that we need here in Reidsville?
Kind of alluding to what Tom says, paint a really big brush. You could survey 100 people in this county, and 50 of those 100 people are going to say a Chick-fil-A. I mean, I know people who have contacted Chick-fil-A. And again, it comes down to the economics of it. And that's where kind of franchising can come in, because they're not going to let you open a restaurant in a town that where you're not going to make it. As a former financial advisor, I had to train all my clients, because at first they all want to know, where's the market going? I don't know. I never know. So you try to come up with a plan, and you're trying to meet expectations and set people up to be able to understand those expectations. I tell them, if I want to start a business today, because you want your business to be successful. There are a lot of people that say, I can tell you right now, there's a franchise, it's a donut truck, and it's big, big business, but I would never show that concept to anybody, because it's not my inner core of what I've learned about businesses that I've started that have failed. It's great to sit up here and tell you how wonderful I've done with some things, but I can do a better job of telling you what not to do. So the key to it, and with where we are in this economic cycle, I don't know. But sooner or later, we're going to see a downturn in the economy. It always happens. It always will. So I tell people, this and $8 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks today, but I want to start small. Meaning, if I can start that business from my home, I would prefer to do that. It takes a lot of the risk out of the equation. Secondly, I want to be able to start with 1 or 2 employees at the most. It takes risk out of it. But again, I want to go to the franchisor. I want to be able to scale that business in my territory from 1 vehicle to 25. That's what you're getting into franchising for, not to have 1 truck, but to have 25 eventually. And the next thing I want to look at is what kind of demand is there. I want a business that's going to do well in any economic environment. Does everybody own a home? Everybody live in an apartment? You got to maintain it. You got to call the plumber. You got to call the painter. You have to call the gutter guy. You have to call the you don't have to call the landscaper. You know it yourself. But, I tell people that those are the type businesses that are going to do well and have some recessionary resistance. You don't want to start a business in a down cycle. You want to be able to take advantage. And again, what we're seeing too, what our county needs, it's like a handyman service. When we lived in Eden, constantly going to visit neighbors, elderly neighbors, every time, Leonard, can you go up in the attic and get a box down for me? I just can't do it. Can you get my Christmas tree out of the basement? So they're those type businesses that, and I've called Ronnie 12 times and I can't get him to come over. Okay, but you need somebody that's a professional. You can get elderly people now, it's a matter of trust with the drug issues we have. We don't want just anybody in our home going through our medicine cabinets, going through our drawers, stealing our identity. So that's where you want to look at a business that is professional. Your employees wear uniforms. 75-year-old grandmother gets a text, and she knows who's coming to the door. So those are the type businesses that I think we really need in this county and that would really do well, is a professional home and building maintenance type is my favorite sector in franchising today for those reasons.
Thank you, Leonard. And I think in addition to that, one of the things that we see with the chamber quite often is trades. Because a lot of our trades are just, we have a workforce development committee. We work quite heavily with the college and try to encourage these programs and the education of the programs, because trades are just something that I think we need more of, that we see dying out. The plumber that you speak of, or the landscaper that you speak of. And so that's why our partnership with the community college is so important to us. We're going to go now to Mac. Mr. Mac Williams.
Thank you.
Answer the same question.
I think a community like Reidsville could use any and all businesses that are out there. I don't know that I would say I would hone in on anything specifically, because I think this is a town where everything can work, because the town is at that stage where everything can work. I do want to expand on something Tom said, though. I think every town needs an economic base. That's why Reidsville was so productive and such a wonderful city back when American tobacco was the economic base here. You look at the downtown, the infrastructure, the bones of downtown Reidsville, I think, are wonderful. When I first came back, when I was coming to City Hall my first day, I was riding down. Even when I lived here, I don't think I appreciated it. The downtown and how, what a wonderful just stock of housing that could be to do what the councilwoman and her husband did. I look at so many second and third stories in that downtown building stock, and how much of it there is. I just really didn't have an appreciation for it back in the 80s when I did live here. But it's a wonderful downtown, and it has a lot to work with. But I think every town needs to have a population growth, and that's what drives everything else, is population growth. And so population growth is accommodated by employment growth. If there's employment opportunities, then people will start to maybe not move here right away. They'll drive in, but eventually they start moving to closer to work. And so I think working with the county, as I said, Lee and her office does a great job in the industrial recruitment. They've been very successful the last couple of years. I think there's reason to expect more success in the future. My job with the city is to help put together a plan that the city can follow to help build on that economic development success and come up with a good plan for it. But I think any town that's going to be successful is going to build its economic base in a variety of ways. The industrial big box is one of them. I think small business and entrepreneurship, tourism, you got to open all those doors and explore all these opportunities, because what you want is population. Retail is driven by demographics. We all might want a Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A's got its program. It's got its data core, it's got its database, and it can identify exactly what kind of town. The incentive for a Chick-fil-A is not $10,000 from the city council. The incentive for Chick-fil-A is the population and the demographics of the town. If the demographics work, Chick-fil-A is looking at what corner, what address in town is where I want to go. I know the town's going to work for me. Now it's a question of where. So retailers are always looking at demographics, and demographics is what? It's us. It's who we are. It's what we make. It's our education, our income levels, and our population growth rates. We got to get busy, people. But absent a steady population of young people moving in, and thank you for you're the poster child of what Reidsville is looking to try to attract, and with this event like this. So thank you for being the trailblazer. You may not know you're a trailblazer, but you're a trailblazer. But that's the kind of work that this town is going to need in any town to be successful. So I'm going to be very happy at the end of my employment with the city and my engagement with the city that we've set them up with a plan for addressing all of these needs for attracting employment, which in turn will attract people. And once you get that ball rolling, then Katie barred the door. But it's a slow roll at the beginning, and that's why I go back to what I hope comes out of this series is people have an appreciation for the energy of the people here now. It's you all in this room, the partnership with the chamber and the city, which is a really, really strong one of the strongest I've seen in any city, that particular partnership, and then bring the county in as well. You've got people here that are rolling up their sleeves and doing what they can in their realm to make this city a compelling place to be. Downtown Reidsville, the streetscape that's been done is all a public investment to encourage the private sector to come in and build on that momentum. Private sector people aren't going to come in and do a sidewalk improvement, a crosswalk improvement, new paving on the road, new light fixtures. An individual business person isn't going to do that. But the city can do it, and they have. So they're doing what they can do to make downtown work better. And I think the things are in place to move forward on them. So I'm excited about the future here, and I think Reidsville is primed to do the work it needs to get that ball rolling, so that down the road, and maybe not too far down the road, it's going to build on its own success.
Thank you, Matt. Lee, we'll go to you next on that.
Well, first of all, with all this talk of Chick-fil-A, I'd welcome everyone to come visit one of the two we have in Danville. But no, there's been great points by everyone already made, and so I'm going to end up touching on, I think, a lot of them. But I think what I'll do then is I want to run through what's been happening in Danville, and then how I think that kind of translates to Reidsville. About 12 years ago, Danville was left for dead entirely. I mean, I grew up in Danville. I went away to college. After I graduated, I moved back 2010. When I came back in 2010, first thing I got asked is, why in the world are you coming back here? Like, why would you come back here? And, me being young and maybe a little naive, I said, because one day I'd like somebody my age to not be asked that question when they come back. And so I got involved and started working, as I said, a couple of years after that was elected to city council. But one of the things that we looked at initially was we had to have a strong core to our city, which was our downtown, and what we now call the River District. At that time, our downtown was not only not thriving, it was embarrassing. It was a ghost town. I could have laid down in the middle of the street and not been touched by a car all day long. I mean, it was bad. So we knew initially we had to, and it had hurt us not only because of not being able to have businesses downtown. Prior to my time on council, they had a major industry that was looking at Danville, and some of the folks with that company were so put off by how the downtown looked, they decided not to come, even though the site they were looking at in another part of the city was fantastic and they loved it. Their message to our leaders at that time is if your downtown looks like this, what does that say about how you invest in your community? And those are some of the points that have been made too about how much you invest, how much you care about your community. And so we knew we had to do work to fix that situation. So one of the first things we did was streetscape improvements. As we mentioned, we widened the sidewalks. We put in brick. We made it more walkable. We made it more aesthetically pleasing. And to give you the short version of this, over 10 years, the public investment in our downtown has now reached about $50 million. It's a lot. The private sector investment is now about $350 million in the downtown alone. We went from 200 people living downtown 10 years ago to over 2,500 people living downtown now and growing. They can't build those apartment projects fast enough. We took the old tobacco warehouses, vacant buildings. I used to work in those warehouses when I was in community college. They were storage warehouses. Now they're breweries, they're restaurants, they're apartments. Talking about storefronts with spaces above them. And then I'll actually jump ahead to something. Because of what's happening with the growth in Danville and our region as a whole, Caesars, again, we're excited about Caesars. Everybody is. That's one of many things that we have happening. And that I'll get to another point on that in a second. But we've got Tyson Foods coming in. We've got all these other companies. We've got 1,000 jobs that are going to be coming online within this year that we don't have houses for right now. I mean, 10 years ago, we couldn't give away a house in Danville. Now we don't have, we're having to rapidly, and that's something we're working on, is to treat housing development like we treat economic development and get very aggressive with that. But not as much as I would love everyone to live in the city of Danville, we're not going to be able to have everybody. There's going to be some folks who want to live in Reidsville, who want to live in outside areas. And so I think there's certainly housing opportunities for Reidsville in connection with what we are doing and what will come. I think it's been publicized. I'm not saying anything here that I shouldn't, that the Southern Virginia mega site that we had at Berry Hill, we were runner-up for a number of very large projects. Hyundai last year was 8,000 jobs that we were second choice on that one. We were second choice for another project that would have been 3,000 jobs. We were, careful, I talk about the Ford plant that went to Michigan. We were very much in consideration for, which would have been thousands of jobs. So I say all that to say that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something very large is going to come to that site. And not all of those folks are going to be living in Danville. They're going to come from this whole, when we're pitching projects, it's a 100-mile radius that we include. So Reidsville is very much a part of our pitch on these projects. You're going to need places for folks to live. And then hotels. We have a hotel shortage in the city of Danville, so more opportunity for Reidsville, smack dab in the middle of Greensboro and Danville. And right along, I mean, that is a tremendous opportunity. But to just go back to the types of businesses and then the way we were able to have some of the success that we did, we laid out a master plan for the downtown. We stuck to it. It wasn't universally popular by any means early on to invest that kind of money, but it has paid off many times over. We're now doing that same philosophy with what we call the Schoolfield District, which runs from that North Carolina line and 29 when you're coming in, all the way up to our Blue Park Shopping Center. Cities is certainly in that corridor to do strategic property acquisition, to look at types of amenities that are needed. We also need family entertainment. That as much as we have done for folks 21 to 40-ish range, there's still a need in our community, really in our region, I think, for entertainment things for younger folks, teenagers, and then that group. So I think there's opportunities there. But housing and lodging, I think, are two major needs for our region as a whole, and will only continue to grow here in the next few years.
Thank you, Lee. And Summer, and what you got that up?
Thank you. One of the things I would kind of like to wrap up with us is, what is the City of Reidsville doing to prepare for this growth and to capitalize on some of the items that we recognize are a need and a draw for our community and visitors? As you notice on your tables, there's poker chips, and please feel free to take one as you go. They're souvenirs. But the City of Reidsville was afforded a very unique opportunity in the form of a poker chip that was called the American Rescue Funds. And what our mayor and city council identified is you can easily spend, we were awarded $4 million from the American Rescue Funds through the COVID relief opportunities. You could have invested that entire $4 million on water and sewer. No one in this room would have ever saw that. And you would wonder, what did the city do with that money? So our mayor and council are very proactive, and they identified the need to invest in opportunities for our residents and anyone who's looking to relocate here and our visitors. And so part of that American Rescue Fund went for our downtown streetscape. And one of the primary opportunities to look at our streetscape was, it kind of goes back to what Mr. Volker was saying, was to show that the city is willing to invest in our infrastructure. Because if the city's willing to invest and put that money up front, hopefully businesses will recognize that the city is trying to do our part to recruit businesses downtown and to retain those existing businesses downtown. The streetscape project was $1.5 million, again, All-American Rescue funds. We have done new crosswalks, sidewalks, new plantings, bump outs, and the most incredible part, we didn't lose any parking spaces, even with that new walkability factor with our streetscape. Also, the City Council with the American Rescue Funds, we have built an all-inclusive park. We are one of the only ones, other than in Greensboro, that has this. This is the first all-inclusive park in Rockingham County, and it's been a great partnership between several entities to pull that off. Also, we're in the process of building a $1.2 million splash pad with American Rescue Funds, again, to capitalize on our youth and make this a family-friendly environment to give our citizens, residents, and visitors something to do. As Mr. Williams alluded to, another investment that our City Council identified was the need for a strategic plan. A roadmap is key to where is the city, where are we going, where are residential growth areas, what are some water and sewer infrastructure needs that we have. So to invest in a strategic plan that we're hoping to have within the next 6 months and be able to share that as a public document and to be able to identify where our growth is and to capitalize on that, I think that speaks volumes for being proactive in this. Also, we've been working very diligently with Rockingham County to look at water and sewer infrastructure. We've got to make sure as we're planning for this growth and the growth that's already here, that our water and sewer infrastructure is up to par. So to make sure we have that capacity and plan for the future for the next 30, 50 years down the road. So working on several large-scale projects there, and a lot of our state representatives, Senator Berger, Representative Reese Pirtle, they've been instrumental in securing state funding for a lot of those projects that we've been able to accomplish. One of the other things I'll mention, and I'll try and wrap up rather quickly, is to promote, again, family-friendly. One of the unique opportunities that our city did was to create holiday displays. And we put those throughout our downtown. We do one for our fall, and then we also do one for Christmas. And the concept behind there was, we can all have festivals for one weekend, but to put a display out that's there for months on end and allow the opportunity for our residents and visitors to see our beautiful downtown and to take photos and share that has been a remarkable experience because we're hopeful it helps our downtown businesses throughout the holiday season and not just that one weekend a month. So that was a unique opportunity that our council and mayor saw to invest in. The one thing I would say as far as a need of business is we have some absolutely wonderful restaurants in our downtown, but we need more. One of the primary things, especially on the weekend, is looking for places to eat in our downtown area. And I will share this story. I came from a small mountain town in western North Carolina. Grew up there my entire 35 years of life up until 2 years ago. We never had a restaurant in our downtown area until 5 years ago. My office at the city hall there was located downtown. When we left at 6 o'clock, the streets were dead. We had a business owner who was willing to make an investment and open the first downtown restaurant in over 35 years. 5 years ago, when I started leaving my office, you couldn't get down the street. There were so many individuals visiting that restaurant. And that spurred so many growth opportunities because you started seeing paint stores open where they'd have late night paint parties. You saw outdoor outfitters opening businesses, encouraging businesses not only when you eat, but to shop, have a different experience downtown. And the growth that restaurants can create for a downtown area is remarkable. So that would be just one thing I would note is business needs, is there is some huge opportunity in our city for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. Just to wrap all of that up, I heard downtown, I heard heart, I heard streetscape, I heard housing and lodging, families, tourism. For tourism, we have quite the gamut of things that people can do. We have the Toy Makers Tour. We have the showcase with live music venue. We have Lucky City Brewing. There's a tap house coming. We have the social district in the air and the discussions about how that works, and our city council working to make that possible. But I heard engagement. Engagement, engagement, engagement. You heard what Victoria said, right? She came here and she became engaged. 3 years later, she's on the chamber board. She's involved in the Junior Service League. Her social media game, I would put her against anybody, okay? Engagement is the key. And that's one of the things that I really want you to take away from this whole series. We have come to the question and answer part of our series, so I'd like to invite anyone who may have a question for any of the folks on the panel. And we'll just start kind of table by table. So we'll start here at this table. Does anybody have any questions for anyone on the panel?
I have a question. Looking to do some things downtown, sometimes I hear people grumble about the downtown corporation. How they seem to have a pretty tight grip on what happens down there. What's their involvement? What control do they have?
That is a great question, and I am going to turn it over to Summer for an answer on that.
So the downtown, the Reidsville Downtown Corporation, that is an advisory role that serves as the Main Street program. So again, it's just an advisory role. The advisory to we talk about the grant opportunity, because I think that's a question that really spurs that. That's a really good one. And Diane, I may defer to you a little bit on that because you've been so active in that. But they are an advisory role, but they also do have the nonprofit arm that the city can benefit from, and that is through our grant opportunities with awnings and then also some different paint grant opportunities that they offer.
Yeah, so the extra tax that is collected in the downtown in the MSD is, and there are many other people who are much better at answering this, but essentially the basic is that group does collect grant applications and send as an advisory board to staff and city council who then approve for those grants. They are also, as a nonprofit arm, they do plan a lot of events and they do attend the Main Street Conference, and they are a Main Street accredited organization, if that's helpful. If you have further questions, I can defer to some other folks who can answer further. Does that answer your question? Okay, perfect.
I agree that housing is a major issue, and we think we'll get overflow. And Tom, you need to start putting some bricks together on that managed block. At 11 o'clock last night, and the price range of $250,000 and $450,000. In Reidsville zip code, there are 5 houses for sale. 5. One of those is in the city of Reidsville. There's got to be incentives for people to build residential property as well as commercial. If you're going to bring them in, where are you going to put them? If you can't put them here, you know they're going to go to Reidsville or somewhere.
I've got 216 units going out, and we're starting to grade in probably 2 months from now. I'm waiting on the graders backlog. But there's 216 units coming on the corner of 87 and 29, right down from the casino. Plus another 550, 575 units off of Lawndale Drive around the high school area. So that will help out. And we'll try to expand on the senior citizens housing as well, duplexes, townhomes, and some of the 3-story units also. That's what's coming. 750 units.
If I could real quick just jump on that too. Just, I don't know if it'll make you feel better if it feels worse, but in the entire city of Danville right now, any houses, period. And some of these are not ones in really livable condition. We've got about 50 houses right now for sale, period, in Danville. So major shortage in our whole area, I think.
Rockingham County has 32, and the price range of 250 to 450. That's the whole county.
In that price range, we might not, I mean, less than that. When I say we got 50, I mean, I'm talking $40,000 houses, whatever. So it's certainly a need, and I think the mixed use projects are great opportunities too, and those don't always have to be new development. You know, you might have existing structures that could become, you know, I've seen, you know, we've had some church buildings in Danville that are now being turned into apartment complexes. There's all kinds of uses that you could find. I would say try and identify vacant buildings of any kind that might be able to be used for housing, mixed use projects.
Yes, sir.
One thing I've noticed in Reidsville is, and I hear it all the time, I talk to a lot of people who want to locate in Reidsville. I would like to see us be more receptive to these requests of people wanting to come here. Now, I understand we have to have rules and regulations that must be abided by, but I think we need to make a considerable effort to try to encourage those people that want to come here to come. I've had, since the Danville Casino has been announced, I work with a lot of people in High Point, Greensboro. I was in the furniture business for many years. I know a lot of people that have retired now that want to invest somewhere.
And you have a specific question, follow-up for that?
Well, I just want to make a statement that let's try to encourage these people to come and do everything we can to get here. No
Yes, sir.
question. No question.
Thank you.
And Ms. Diane, if I could just maybe piggyback off that, that's a great question and that's a great statement. You know, we do think at the city, one of the things that may help with that, with looking at rules and regulations, is with that UDO. What we referenced earlier, that, you know, a lot of language is still from 1986. So this would look at setback requirements, lot requirements to be able to look at kind of the modernization of homes or businesses that we're seeing. So we are hopeful that with the UDO and looking at that comprehensive study of that will eliminate maybe some of the annotated language from 1986 to allow for this growth.
Could you explain what that is exactly? Maybe folks don't understand. what it-
Sure.
You're
So
welcome.
the UDO is a Unified Development Ordinance, and that is basically the rule book or guidebook for any type of development throughout the city. So that is if you are looking to build a new home, to expand your business, you would go through city staff, puts that through our UDO process. Like with this type of business, are you zoned correctly? It looks at zoning, it looks at density, it looks at lot setback. So it addresses those with building code as well.
Thank you. Barbara, did you have something to add?
Yes, I just want to say, as a person of family living downtown, if you walk downtown and have a vision and look up, you'll see there are several buildings that can be modified to fit your needs. You may have to put an elderly stepway in it or something like that, but believe me, it is worth it to be able to live downtown, walk downtown, and enjoy the city. Thank you.
I think I would add to the piece about downtown too. One of the things that we're struggling with that has come up that is an issue is just the word inventory. It's inventory of homes, it's inventory of commercial property, inventory of businesses and buildings downtown. And unfortunately, while there are a lot of buildings, it doesn't mean that somebody's willing to lease those buildings or ready to let go of them, or that they're available, or that we can even find the owner. And that's something that I think is a misnomer that I find a lot at the chamber is that people think that the chamber or the city control property, and at the end of the day, we don't. The private business owners do. And so I think that we can continue to be as customer service friendly or to work on ordinances or do all the things that we can, but at the end of the day, like, we can't make people sell their building, lease their building, or do what they need to with it. So that's just something too that I think we struggle with as the paid staff and as the elected officials. It's very difficult to make things happen sometimes, just because trying to find those folks. And Mickey got really lucky. That's a great story, because sometimes that luck is just not with us. But he got very lucky, and I was very glad that worked out, because it's a very prominent spot on Freeway Drive. And I know there was actually something you wanted to mention that you didn't mention. We talked about that big open space beside it.
Yeah, I would love somebody to take over the Golden Corral space. That was a really thriving business when we first opened up, and I guess COVID sort of affected them. That was a great place to take your family, and it's sitting there. So I think a crowd attracts a crowd. So I'd love to have a neighbor there at Golden Corral. So I think it's kind of right for a business to be there.
Agreed. And again, we can't make people open businesses or buy buildings, or if they buy it and hold on to it.
And I
Anything we can do.
can also add, I'm in 8 different markets and several different chamber type organizations. I don't see this synergy between the town and the chamber and this welcoming for businesses that often. A lot of times it's like, hey, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way we're going to continue to do it. So it's really refreshing to see Danville saying, hey, we're going to modify, and City of Reidsville and the Chamber work together. I don't always see it. You probably don't either. So.
I'll move to this table. Anybody at this table? Yes, ma'am.
Going with that same theme, as a fairly new person to Reidsville, I moved from Massachusetts down to Reidsville, and I've had my products in the trading post for quite a while, but pulled out just because they weren't really selling. But I've been trying to find a space myself downtown, and it's been very difficult. I'm not gonna lie, like, there's lots of vacant buildings, but there's no numbers to call. There's no, I could call Theresa and say, hey, can you find out information? But I mean, there's no, it would help if these business or these building owners would put a note card or anything on the building saying, call me, but there isn't. And so it's I think from a perspective of the new business owner coming in, that's deterrent right there, that there's just nowhere to go. I know of a building that I'm eyeing that I would love to have, because I'm looking for a dance studio and a wellness center together, and it would be perfect for it. But then there's funding involved with that, and it's usually a lot higher than renting a place. But, it's just, that is one of the, I think, deterrents to small business owners coming in, because some of us are very shy and don't know where to go, and like, I look at Kelly's Bakery and I'm like, oh, that would be a perfect little bistro, and I've run a bakery before, so I'd love to do that, but there's no number. You don't know where to call.
We can help you with that.
I know you guys can. Amy told me that.
That is one that I do know how to find the owner. But unfortunately, to that point, a lot of times it doesn't matter how hard our Main Street manager or how hard we try, we can't make people. But that's why we're having events like this, because we're hoping by bringing the folks together in a room and engaging people and educating people about things, that there will be light bulbs, or there will be opportunities, there will be things that we hope we can move along.
Both my mother and her boyfriend are looking for big building space as well for a restaurant and another business.
And inventory is low. I mean, it's not easy. So we understand. And so one of the reasons that we brought this together, and we will be having follow-up, and to wrap this up and move to the next, but we have a lot of property owners. We have some in the room with us today, and then we have some who have engaged and said, we can't make this session, but we'd like to make the second or third. The third event in this series is going to be a networking and a meet and greet and a literally pulling people by the hand. I'm so thankful. I'd like to acknowledge that we have a lot of our board and ambassadors of the chamber here today. Thank you all for your support. They will be participating in that third event along with city staff and city council, where we can actually introduce folks to other folks. We've got people who've been holding on to land for years. I mean, in my 12 years at the chamber, I can think of a couple of pieces right now. People are just holding on to them, waiting for something, because they're not going to build something that they don't know, but it doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for a partnership there. So, okay. Anybody else at this table have anything they'd like to add? Okay. We're going to go to Miss Brady's table. Anybody there?
Question. It's just really for the panel to ask a question. So from a Domino's perspective or a franchise perspective, where is Reidsville positioned right now? I mean, you're really backed by a ton of data, right, on that growth trajectory and view, right? How do your businesses view Reidsville right now relative to a Danville? I mean, me personally, we can try to be Danville as much as we want. We're probably just not there yet. So maybe our strategy or mind needs to be around Reidsville being a complementary city to the city of Danville or the city of Greensboro. Right? There's a lot that has to offer that can, make us economically viable. And then 10 years from now, maybe we are Danville. But where do we sit right now from your perspective?
We've been here since '96. I think we originally built that store on Turner Drive in '96. It's just a perfect demographic for our business. Pizza delivery, carry out is good value. But it's perfectly positioned. I would love to do a second location in Reidsville. It just needs to be in the right spot. We look at apartments, hotels, industry, and all that's in place. So the infrastructure coming through here with the interstate, I think all that's just perfect for and attractive for. I don't know about Chick-fil-A, but it's right.
And if I could just add on to that too, and we appreciate any nice things that are said about Danville, certainly, but when we began our kind of transformation and our comeback, we kind of call ourselves not a comeback city, but we looked at other places like for inspiration and for examples of how to do things, but we weren't trying to be them. We wanted to be the best version of Danville that we could be. And I would say Reidsville, you don't want to be Danville. You want to be uniquely Reidsville. Find your identity and what makes you special, and then try and enhance that. And so that's what we tried to do. I mean, we looked at Greenville, South Carolina. We looked at things in Richmond and Chocolate Bottom and those places. But we're trying and still trying. We're not done by any means. We're 10 years into a 25-year process. But to create your own unique identity, what makes your community special, I think is what you should strive for. So find the strengths in your community, and then how do you enhance those and how do you grow those? And I think you'll be successful. And I think you have everything you need to do that. And then, you can build off the synergy of communities around you as well.
Which is a great segue, and Matt, are you going to add something else to that?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's a process and not an event. I think it takes consistency over time, which the city is poised to do with the resources it has. And eventually, the private sector, it's a step-by-step, brick-by-brick kind of process. It starts slow. He said we're 10 years into a 25-year project. I spent 10 years with the city of Asheville. Everybody's been to downtown Asheville for its obvious tourism attraction. But you wouldn't have gone there in the 1970s. In the 1970s, there was a group that wanted just to plow down downtown Asheville and put a mall there, a shopping mall. And a group of preservationists, probably at the time viewed as crazy people, but were effective in saving the community from doing that. And now look what's there today. The key to downtown Asheville now is they were successful in building those third, fourth, and fifth stories into residential. So all of those buildings are vertical mixed-use buildings with great retail and office on the ground floor and residential and office on the upper floors. In every single building, in the 10 years I was there, every single building that was worth renovating got renovated. And then developers started tearing down buildings and building brand new residential towers. And now, today, 15, 20 years later, it's interesting, the residents of downtown are complaining to the city about all the noise and all the people hanging around downtown Asheville.
Right.
And they moved there because of that buzz. So, you know, what problem do you want to have? You know, and I think Asheville's got a set of good problems to have. Danville's going to be having good problems to have down the road. But my point is, it took Asheville a long time to become the tourism destination that you enjoy today. Asheville had an annual festival. It was always held the first rainy weekend in July, called Bell Share, if everybody went there. But that was one of the city's efforts to try to get people to come down and be part of downtown Asheville. So all of that combined over time, and that's what I want to bring to the table, is the consistency of investment over time. Stick to it. It's not fun. It's not easy. Spending public money on things some people might think are frivolous and not very good expenditures. That's where the public sector elected officials have to have some backbone and say, look, we got a vision here, and we're building toward that. And it takes partnerships, Diane, like you and the chamber providing as well in the county. And I think just again having the will, the energy to stick to it and do it is a big key to being successful.
Well, and that is a great segue to our second event in the series that is going to be in June. And that is our Why Reidsville. Again, Why Reidsville. So again, to Lee's point, we are trying to uniquely be Reidsville and build on that. So I want to continue to go around the room and be respectful of everybody's time. We only have a few more minutes. So the next table, Rosetta's table, anybody there? Okay. JR's table. Yes, sir.
You know, I always got something to say.
I know, sir.
So one of the ordinances that y'all just updated was the alcohol being able to be served. What other ordinances are you evaluating?
So we are currently evaluating several. Again, with the Unified Development Ordinance, that will be almost a 12-month to 18-month process because it looks at individual ordinances. But one of the ones we have identified too is our food truck ordinance. That is one that we have looked at. We had noticed that it just was not working the way it was currently set up. You pretty much, if you were a food truck, and you had to come in each time you moved locations and get a whole new permitting process. As we all know, food trucks are very popular. They serve a need for our communities. So one thing that the city did was to look at that ordinance, and instead of making them come in every single time they move locations, it's now a once-a-year permitting process. Meaning once a year, you come in, you do your paperwork, you pay your fee, you're good for the year. When you go to move locations, just let us know. It's trying to streamline that. And that's where we really need each of you in this room is a lot of times we as the city and the chamber and the county, we may not know of some of the obstacles you're facing. So if you are running into a roadblock, please bring that to our attention and let us look at that. Is it a matter of inundated ordinance? Is it a matter of process that we need to be clear on at the city? But anything like that, please bring to our attention. But we do have several in the works. One was being the food truck ordinance.
And along those lines, one of the things that I'm most proud of, the partnership between the chamber and the city has been talked about quite a bit today. Typically in 24 hours, we can resolve almost any issue or address an issue and have a resolution moving forward. The city staff is phenomenal. If I find out something, I email or I text. I mean, I will find somebody and they will help us get the answer. And we have had things from people's water being cut off at their business, and Chris having to dig down and figure out like what was going on, to we had a industry just the other day who had an issue and couldn't figure it out, and I emailed Summer, and immediately the staff was on it. And so that's a really great point, is that we have to hear from people, back to that engagement word. JR's table, is there anybody else there? And what about the two tables in the back? Anybody? Edward's table or Robin's table, or anybody back there? And I can't really see where the tables start and stop. So, and then back here in the middle, Jeffrey, Steve's table. Anybody? Okay. Last chance. Anybody in the room have an additional question for the panel? Okay, panel, any additional comments? Or any final thoughts?
Just appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank all of you for being here. I think it's an exciting time for our region.
Thank you. Anybody else? Summer, any additional? Okay, perfect. So at this time, we would like to conclude today's event. Please join us for the next two in this series. We have Thursday, June the 15th. Why to place your bet on Reidsville. It will be a lunchtime event at Penrose Park Country Club. The sign-up will be live in the next couple of business days on the Reidsville Chamber website, which is reidsvillechamber.org. And then Thursday, September 21st, will be an evening event, and that will be our networking and our vendor expo event, where we're going to try to make connections. And that is all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. And then